Welcome back to the Dopesick Show you won't get sick of. I'm Spencer. This is Sasha. Spent most of my 20s in federal prison, but have been off heroin since April 9, 2010. Got a lot of stories about the dumb stuff I did to get put in prison. Also got quite a few stories about the pretty wild stuff actually happened when I was in prison. And God forbid you end up in prison, you want to make some of the same mistakes I made. So everybody remembers, girl, I love your big brown eyes and the way you shake your thighs, acting like you're so dang cute. Little real fella just knocked them boots. Hoochie mama. I had my little stepson saying that. He was a few years back. He's like 5 years old. And it was funny. He's got a little bit of speech impediment. So I had him hollering in the car, hoodwat, hoochie mama. Laughing like crazy. So this is a hoochie mama story. Yeah. It's kind of ironic though, because it was Lieutenant Hoodrat that told on the hoochie mamas in the prison. Yeah. And that's allegedly how she got her position as lieutenant. See, I have a number of stories that I've held back because the type of stories I want to have somebody that was there. Somebody that actually might pay for something that can verify what I'm saying before I say certain things of such magnitude, okay? Now, I don't use names. No, I don't use names. I change enough stuff so ain't nobody going to sue me. No, you're not getting my money. No. Even if you could, shoot, I think I trust a bank? I'm a felon. I got more valuables hidden that I can't remember than I'll probably ever find. Yeah, gotta press this. We're all good, though. Okay, yep. But anyway, I got people for this one, okay? But this is a pretty wild story. And anybody that's there now can still tell you they've heard all about it. And it not allegedly, it did happen. Talked to the dude yesterday. That's why I'm sitting here telling y'all this today. But anyhow, the way that she allegedly got her position as lieutenant was by telling on this ring that was going on. So, let me break it down for you how this happens. So in a place like a medium, like somewhere that's got like a whole lot of cameras, this would be easy something to backtrack and spot. They got cameras that can read your name tag right on your shirt, right? They can go back whenever and trace everything down. They will go to fights and go through an hour of footage to track every place that person went, and they'll track them back to the building they were in, the cell they went in. I knew one guy, this stupid Aaron Brotherhood of Texas dude, he was drunk. Should have kept his butt inside. It was Christmas time. He's out there selling wine. He's drunk. He ran from the cops. Ran in the building, ran in the room. He hid under the bed. Yeah. Oh, it took him a minute, run the cameras back, but about 45 minutes they found him. He's still under the bed. His name was Paul, but when he got drunk, he called himself Jim. He said he turned into Jim when he got drunk. Like if you had a pile of speed, like a pile of crystal meth on the table, and I had like if this was like one of Harry Potter's magic wands, and I said, I turn you into a person. Poof. He's what looks like if you were to turn crystal meth into an actual person. You could see the whole whites of his eyes and the 1 inch of hair he had stood up. But that's a separate story. Y'all know I get all the ADD and all that stuff. But anyhow, so at a meet with their cameras like that, and track everybody. When there's no cameras, who knows what really happened? Can't prove anything. And there were a lot of issues at this particular place where there were no cameras at. So, each building is different. Completely different place. Looks like you're in a whole different facility. So, the newer buildings only had about 150 people, but there were about 3 buildings that were bigger. But 2 of them had about 350 people in them. One of them was a football field long. Giant, just big, box-shaped building. The other one was like a little fortress. Old facility. So, it used to be a military place. Still bars on it like that, but it's the only place like that. So you got 3 floors in a basement. You got a building so big that one guard can't search it out. One guard cannot be enough for 350 people in this building. So they have 2 guards in this building. Well, say you got 2 guards that are cool with each other, that are in on the same thing. Okay? If you got a guard on the 1st floor and you got a guard on the 3rd floor, and there's only one door that anybody ever goes to enter this building that's a CO. If you got the guard on the 1st floor hanging out with the inmates, which there are inmates that hang out with guards and talk with them all day. They'll think that, some of them end up getting something, but a lot of them get delusional. I had a friend get delusional. He thought CO was hitting on him. He did something he shouldn't have done. He went to the hole. We clown him a lot for that. That's another story in itself, though. But if you got a guard hanging out towards the entrance, see, there's a stairwell in this building. As soon as you open this door, it's a stairwell. You can see up 3 floors high. Now, each floor goes at a football field across. It's a huge building. On the third floor, the office the CO had wasn't like the typical offices. In the smaller buildings, the office was like the size of a broom closet. This office was probably, I want to say it had to have been like 20 by 20 foot. It was a room. There's no window on the door. There's a lock on the door, so the door could be locked. So, just breaking it down for you like that. You got one CO hanging out the inmates at the entrance at the stairwell, talking with them, which that's typical. And you got CO on the 3rd floor. There's one guy who's like the compound officer. He just watches that on the compound and all that, and he'll do his rounds walking through every building, like once a night or something. Once he walks through, he's gone. Ain't gonna be nobody else the rest of the night. At nighttime, not a whole lot happens. No cell searches, any of that. They're not gonna search you unless it's a shakedown. So pretty much, the guards know, just like the inmates know, that's the time when there ain't gonna be a whole lot of movement. So something could get gotten away with a little bit easier, if you know what I'm saying. So basically, what the ongoing thing that was happening, that had been told to me by this person, told me by many people, that happened before I got there, was, some inmates will try a CO. A lot of the times, you got 3 different types of COs. You got one that feels bad for the inmates, or one that wants to be liked by the inmates. Okay? They're the ones that usually sneak stuff in, learn they can make double, triple their salary just by sneaking something past, and sometimes just off cigarettes. I mean, they're selling cigarettes for $20 a piece, and that was probably a low end number. But say they're selling something else. You don't have to sneak that in. They just walk that right in through the door. You know what I'm saying? I don't get too graphic on here, but I mean it's pretty obvious what I'm saying here. So basically, that's the one type of CO. The second type of CO just does their job. Just does their job. There's some COs that are just by the book, and you got to respect them because they're going to go in there. They're going to do what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to search 3 lockers a shift. They'll search 3 lockers. That'll be the end of it. After they search 3 lockers, no, they're not going to search anybody else. Then there's a super CO. There's a CO that's going to be trying to do way too much. A lot of times they do this to try to get promotions, and sometimes they get it, but a lot of times they end up being hated by inmates and sometimes being hated by staff. RoboCop, oh my God, that dude was mentally unstable, doing too much. There was another guy, it was a white dude, bald head, no eyebrows. I mean, you can't trust a man with no eyebrows. I mean, seriously, like if you saw him getting the pool close to kids, you'd tell your kids get out of the pool. They might catch what he got. Okay, this guy had no eyebrows. He didn't look right. But anyway, that was another one. But anyway, so you got these 2 COs that are cool. It's obvious they're friends. You got the one looking out for the other. So the alleged setup, not the alleged setup, I keep saying alleged. I mean, unless this person I'm talking to who said he did was lying, which, there are too many people. I wouldn't be telling this right now if I didn't fully believe it. I believed it back then, but after believing it so far that if you were to actually get a person, he would say, yep, I did, yep, it was this, yep, it was that, yep, then that's the thing. Now, let me tell you something here. There is no, by law, there's no consenting relationship between staff and inmate. Now, that goes with male staff in a female facility. That goes with female staff in a male facility, or whatever in between. Because the person who's staff has a position of power over them. So even if the person who was inmate said, yeah, it was all, I wanted to do this, it's still by law. It's not right. It's not fair. It's not cool because the person with power has too much power, and the person that is an inmate has no power. Absolute power versus absolute, being under control. So that's a big thing too. I've known people. When I first got out of prison, I'll save that story for later. So the setup that the person I spoke to yesterday, and the other people who I've spoken to who knew all about this, was basically $500 for 5 minutes alone. That was the setup. Okay, $500 for 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay, and this is not. You got now. My cousin worked as a counselor in a prison in Southwest Virginia. Now, before I say this, my cousin, she's a pretty girl and all that, but my cousin said, because I'm going to be talking about certain COs like they're, look like something that crawled out from under a bridge, you know what I mean? Look like, Fiona off of the Shrek movie, okay? Some of them didn't even look like Fiona. Some of them looked like Shrek. But anyhow, I'm not saying my cousin looked like that, trying to down it or something like that. My cousin's a pretty woman and everything else. But the COs we're going to revisit here in a second look like that. But my cousin who worked in this prison doing counseling, in the drug groups, she said, God, any woman that's got any self-confidence issues needs to get a job at a prison. They will just feel wonderful after that. And it's the truth. You got guys in there that have done nothing but work out. Just as fit, look like they come off of a fitness magazine. But I ain't been with a woman in 10, 20, sometimes 30 years. It don't matter what the woman looks like. There are guys that are going to absolutely make that woman feel like she is just the God's gift. Okay? So yeah, it's going to help people's self-confidence. But likewise, where guys have been in prison so long, their standards have lowered and lowered. And some people didn't have high standards in the first place, so then they just basically have no standards. Got a pulse? We good. That's basically how some of them are. So this was the setup that was said to be happening. And then everything gets, it all gets torn apart. But nothing seemed to happen from it. There were COs that continued to work at this prison that still that were involved in this, and they kept their job. I guess they didn't really have too much proof. But basically, after this unraveled, there's this woman who I call Lieutenant Hoodrat, because she was hood. It was kind of funny a little bit, because she was the most unprofessional person I've ever seen in my life. Okay, she wasn't the worst lieutenant. There were far worse lieutenants than her, without question. But unprofessional, oh Lord, she was awful. In the kitchen, they've got one door you go in, one door you go out. You go in on the right side, you exit on the left side. So when you go out, they search you, see if you have food on you. Okay, because people steal food out of the kitchen. Save guards patting people down. Well, she'd stand up there, up the couple stairs, and either there or on the entry part, and she'd be smoking a cigarette. Okay, first off, she'd stand up there smoking a cigarette, bobbing her head, and if you made eye contact with her, she'd say, "What are you looking at?" Okay, and now I did laugh one time. Chomo made me laugh. Chomo, middle-aged white man, was walking in, and I guess he made eye contact with her. He said, "What are you looking at?" And he looked up and down at her. He said, "Not you. I'm a sex offender. You're way too old for me." And I was like, oh, she said, "Get the hell out of here." But she got made lieutenant. And there was a lot of speculation. You ask anybody who's in the prison, you probably ask anybody who's still in the prison, how'd she get made a lieutenant? That's like the most unprofessional woman ever. And they remember when she wasn't lieutenant, when she was just a CO. And they said the way that she got made a lieutenant was she told on this ring. Okay? There's certain, things like that COs go after. Certain COs go looking for cell phones. That's what they do. There was a rumor that they got a $500 bonus for every cell phone they found. So there were certain ones and certain times they were looking for cell phones like crazy. That's the thing. They wouldn't care about nothing else, but they'd be looking for that cell phone. There's some that cared about everything, and they'd be looking for that cell phone too. So anyway, the setup basically that spoke about that, you think about this, completely possible, completely easily possible, and I believe, 100% in this person. They have no reason to lie, but this isn't somebody, and there are so many people involved that I could call up at this very moment and have every single one of them all speak on this. And you'd be like, no, it's not like, maybe that happened. You'd be like, yeah, that happened. Okay, of course I wasn't there or anything like that, but don't speak on something that you can't prove. That's a big thing with me. You know what I mean? I don't like to speak on anything in any of these stories in which there wasn't a witness that I have available that I can talk about. And this, it makes sense. I can't see somebody so unprofessional. I actually heard the warden go up to this woman and say, listen, this is not how we conduct ourselves. You're standing up here smoking a cigarette. First off, that's unprofessional. But second off, you're up here yelling and cussing. That's not cool. And I heard that, like him do that, and she chilled out a little bit after that, but it started up a couple weeks later. But anyway, pretty wild stuff. It happens. There are other situations where guards and inmates get in relationships. There's incidents of that. That does happen. That absolutely does happen. And as sick as it is of a place as Petersburg with people that, are chomos, there are COs that end up in relationships with chomos. What can I say about that? I mean, come on, okay? That's the most, anyway. So anyway, if I can get this person to come on here and talk about this, oh Lord, that'd be a scandal. Man, I might have to offer him some dang money. That would be. That'd be something else, wouldn't it? I'm pretty sure he could sue them too. Because it don't matter if, he paid or whatever. Because there is no, like I said, between guard and inmate, there is no consensual relationship because of absolute power and because of, you're an inmate. The power is too imbalanced for it to be, something that's acceptable. So that's what it is. Anyway, if you like the video, press the like button. If not, that's 16 minutes and 20 seconds of your life in which you'll never get back. Oh man, got some sleep last night. Slept real late. That live, I stayed up till 5 o'clock on a live. I apologize for being so ridiculously far back on the comments, but my sleep when I don't get it. It gets rough for me. It's hard to function. I don't function like a normal person. So like if I don't have certain amounts of rest and everything else, then I'm thrown all out of whack. But anyway, that's it.